Hello my friends, welcome to the Wicked Bitter channel. I'm Travis. Thank you for checking out this video on a very special 4th of July edition of Money in the Bank predictions. If you're new to this channel, welcome in. We're glad you're here. Happy to have you. If you don't mind taking a couple of seconds, hitting the subscribe button there and join this community. We got a great wrestling community here that keeps on growing. We're getting bigger and bigger as the weeks go by. We put videos out every single week. We talk about Raw, SmackDown. Sometimes we talk about NXT. Sometimes we talk about AEW, but not really. And then we usually, but most definitely, always talk about the PLEs. And we got a great PLE coming this weekend. So this probably won't be a long video. We only have a few matches happening at Money in the Bank, which I kind of like. And if you compare it to, I know we don't really talk about AEW that much on this channel, but Forbidden Door that just happened this past weekend, Forbidden Door had 14 matches. And I heard that pay-per-view, I didn't watch, but I heard the pay-per-view was about 5 hours long, 4 hours and whatever. To me, sometimes that's too much. And I know WrestleMania could be very long, and I'm glad they've spread it over a couple of days. But I don't know. Sometimes it's about quality more so than quantity. You know what I mean? So, and WWE has put on shows before where there's been plenty of matches, but recently they've been putting on a good handful, like 5 to 7 matches, and I think that's the sweet spot. I think you get right into where you want to be, and it's a very entertaining pay-per-view. It's pretty quick for the most part, from top to bottom, so I think that's what we're getting this weekend again, unless they add in another show, a match, on SmackDown or something, maybe the women's tag team titles or something like that, but I doubt it, but it could happen. So the matches we get are Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest. If Seth Rollins loses, he can no longer face Damian Priest as long as Priest is holding that championship. And Damian Priest, if he loses, then he has to leave the Judgment Day. That's huge. Also, we got the men's Money in the Bank, the women's Money in the Bank. We have, I'm blanking now, we have the 6-man tag team match with, I think it's announced that it's going to be Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. So no Jacob Fatu, although I feel like he will be ringside for that. And then the other match is, of course, our boy here at Wicked Bitter, Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. All of these matches I can't wait for. There's multiple ways they can go with each one of these matches. Let's get into them. I want to start with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match because I feel like if my theory is going to happen, then for me, this match needs to be either the first or second match. It has to be right away. So I'm going to say men's Money in the Bank starts the show. And I know a lot of people are thinking Jey Uso is the favorite. I know a lot of people are thinking maybe Chad Gable. I think it's going to be Drew McIntyre. Now, although I would like to see Jey win this thing, I just feel like if everything works out the way I think it's going to work out, where Gunther is going to hold the World Heavyweight Championship probably next month when he wins it at SummerSlam. So I don't think Jey is going to be cashing in on Gunther. I think Gunther is going to have a pretty good title, a lengthy title reign. So I don't think he's cashing in on Gunther. I don't think he's going to cash in on Cody because that's your two top baby faces in the company right now. And I think, I got a feeling Jey, and we all are pretty much expecting it, I think Jey is going to be involved in the Bloodline storyline at some point. So to me, it would make no sense for him to really hold the briefcase if he's just going to join up back with Roman and Jimmy. I could be wrong. Jey could win, and if Jey does win, I'm happy. But I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. And I think they're going to do something different with the Money in the Bank this year. I know Damian Priest took almost a whole full year to cash in that briefcase. He had it for a very long time. And I think they might go away with that this time around, at least for this year of Money in the Bank. On Raw, Drew McIntyre mentioned that he's going to win the Money in the Bank and that he's going to cash in on the same night. He said that on the microphone. So let's just take that at face value. Let's just say he does that. Let's go ahead and say Drew McIntyre wins the Money in the Bank ladder match, and then he tries to cash in on the same night. Now, here is where my theory starts to come in. I know I said I had a few predictions, a few theories about this. Here's one of them. I say Drew McIntyre wins it. He tries to cash in during the Seth Rollins and Priest match, not after. I say he tries to cash in during the match. And when he tries to cash in during the match, it becomes a triple threat, which means no disqualification. So Drew McIntyre cashes in. He hits, let's just say he hits Seth with a Claymore, and then all of a sudden CM Punk comes out. And since it's no DQ, CM Punk can straight up roll up in that match and start beating Drew down. And he wants to get back at him for the assault that Drew got on Punk in Chicago on SmackDown when he brutalized him. So let's just say now it's a triple threat because of the cash-in. Punk comes in, no DQ. So Punk can just literally beat the hell out of Drew McIntyre and everything is all good. But you remember, while he's doing this and he's taking out Drew, Seth was just taken out with a Claymore. So Damian Priest comes in the ring, south of heaven on Seth Rollins, and then, oh my God, I'm getting mixed up. And then Damian Priest wins that way. I think we can go this way. Because that way it makes Seth look like, well, it took a Claymore and a South of Heaven to get Seth down. I think that's what's going to happen. That's one of my theories. The other theory, of course, Jey Uso can win. I mean, that's just Jey Uso could. I think some stuff is going to happen in this Money in the Bank men's match. I think LA Knight at some point will get close to grabbing the briefcase, and everybody in the crowd's going nuts because they want to see it happen. And as he's about to get it, I think Logan Paul will show up. He'll pull LA Knight down, maybe hit him with the brass knucks, and then that'll take LA Knight out of the match, and then that'll set up even more so their feud for SummerSlam. So I think LA Knight will come close, but I think Logan will cost him. The other part of this is Chad Gable, because the Wyatt Six, are we really not going to have the Wyatt Six show up or do anything here at the first big PLE since they've shown up? I think the Wyatt Six get involved here. And I know this is already throwing multiple elements into one match, and it might be this way. We already saw an overbooked WrestleMania main event with Cody and Roman. Maybe they do it here for the men's Money in the Bank. They could. I mean, I could be wrong in all of this, but this in my head just makes so much sense that I could just see it happening. What if Gable comes close? What if it's Jey Uso and Gable at the top of the ladder, both about to reach, and the Wyatt Six music hits, or the piano keys, and the lights goes out, and the smoke comes out, and then all of a sudden you have all of the members of the Wyatt Six, but they attack Jey and Gable, which eliminates them from the match, and allows Drew McIntyre to eventually climb and get it. Or what if the music hits and Gable gets so insecure and scared that he just runs away, so that he eliminates himself from the match? What if Jey Uso goes to hide or something? You know, like, I think the Wyatt Six will come into play somehow during this match. I want to move on now to the next match I think is going to happen after the men's Money in the Bank. I think we get Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. Now, we talked about it a little bit on the last video I made after Monday Night Raw during that review. But I think, so we got to take in effect here, it's in Sami Zayn's home country. It's in Canada. And Sami Zayn is looked at as a god over there, right? The reception he always gets from this crowd is off the charts. So, do we really have Braun Breaker beat Sami Zayn in his hometown? It's hard for me to picture Braun Breaker losing right now, unless something happens where maybe Dragunov gets involved, costs him the match, or maybe Ricochet shows back up and hits Breaker with chairs or something. He costs Breaker the match or something. That's the only way. I can't see Sami Zayn beating Braun Breaker clean right now. Braun Breaker has been made out to be an absolute monster on the roster. Okay, he's demolishing everybody. The speed he has, the overhead camera of him running and killing people into the stairs. Like, I think Braun Breaker needs to win this match, because this will already solidify him and catapult him into a different stratosphere. Because, like I said in the last video, I haven't seen a rise from NXT like this in a long time. For somebody to come up from NXT and be introduced to a crowd that, let's face it, more than half the regular Raw and SmackDown crowd probably doesn't know who Braun Breaker is. But for him to show up and put this much of an impact right away, and for everybody to be barking and loving this guy, you got to strap the rocket to this dude's back and just let him go. Give him the Intercontinental Championship. And if you want him to be a heel, the best way to get even more heat on him is to demolish Sami Zayn in like 2 minutes in Sami Zayn's hometown. This will shock everybody. This will leave the Canadian fans pissed, which is good. You want that here. I don't think WWE is afraid of making the home country's fans upset. We just saw CM Punk screw Drew McIntyre out of his opportunity in Scotland, in Drew McIntyre's hometown. WWE will now push those buttons, and I really want to see this happen. Let's go to the six-man tag. Now, six-man tag and the women's Money in the Bank can swap for me. It could be either one, but I think we might go six-man tag on this. And we're going to have Cody with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline. Solo, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. Now, as much as I've broken down the other matches, especially the men's Money in the Bank, where I think that one's going to be a lot of chaos. At least in my mind, the way I picture it, I think it's going to happen that way. I think this match, not so much. I think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a really solid, good match, but I do think it's very important here for the Bloodline to win this match. And I feel like it's even more important for Solo to be the one to get the pinfall. Now, I don't think Paul Heyman will be there. I think he's going to be off TV for a little bit. I think Jacob Fatu will be in there. I don't think he needs to get involved. He could, but I think he could just be the enforcer on the outside, look like he is going to get involved, but not necessarily get involved. I want out of this, I want the Bloodline to look even stronger than they have been in the past couple of weeks. They just came off killing Paul Heyman off, right? You got to have them win here. And I don't want Tama Tonga or Tonga Loa getting the pin. It's got to be Solo. We got to build Solo up here. If the goal ultimately is to have Roman Reigns come in and face Solo, you want to make it look like Solo is near or on the same level as Roman Reigns. That's extremely hard to do. So the best case scenario is you want to build Solo Sikoa up, making him look like the strongest, most dangerous person on the SmackDown roster. What better way to do that than to get Solo to win here, but especially getting a pin on the actual champion, Cody Rhodes. That way you can maybe set up Cody versus Solo at SummerSlam next month. I think that needs to happen in this match. I think Bloodline needs to win, and I think Solo needs to be the one that gets the pin, and even to add another extra caveat on top, I think he needs to pin Cody Rhodes in this match. Women's Money in the Bank. Let's get into that one. A couple of options here. Obviously, Tiffany Stratton's the favorite, but I've been saying it for the past few weeks now, since Chelsea Green actually got into the match. I think Chelsea Green wins this match. I think she wins the briefcase. Her character would be hilarious with this briefcase running around. And if she's still with Piper, she can maybe even rub it in Piper's face. Hey, but not intentionally. She's gonna be like, I'm gonna win the women's championship. You couldn't do that kind of thing. And it's gonna rub Piper the wrong way, which when Chelsea, it's time for her to cash in, maybe Piper costs her and Piper turns face I believe that Chelsea will win this. And it's in Canada, so you upset them with Sammy, but you make them happy with Chelsea in Canada. And I could see Chelsea winning the briefcase and then being the first woman to cash in whenever it may be. It doesn't have to be the same night. It could be whenever. She can cash in, whether it's going to be on Nia Jax, if Nia Jax beats Bayley or something, and then fail. It wouldn't be smart to cash in on Nia, but it's Chelsea Green. Her character is comedy. We can see something like this happen. I think Chelsea becomes the first woman to cash in and fail. WWE has been talking about it. Michael Cole's been mentioning there's a 100% success rate that every woman that cashes in wins. I think this is the time. We get the men's Money in the Bank. Drew McIntyre cashes in and fails. And I think we get Chelsea Green, the women's Money in the Bank, cashes in and fails for the first time. I think this is the year we finally get both Money in the Banks to cash in and fail. I don't think that's happened before. It hasn't happened before. I think that will happen this year. And I don't think these people hold their briefcase for long. I think Drew's the same night and loses it. I think Chelsea, it doesn't take her long to cash in. Although I do see her having some funny backstage moments with the briefcase, especially maybe on social media, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I say Chelsea on this one. And of course, if not Chelsea, we got to go with Tiffany. That's the only other option. But I do think Chelsea wins this one, and I think eventually when she does cash in, she's the first woman to cash in and lose. All right, main event time. I already kind of talked about this. I say Seth Rollins versus Priest is the main event here. High stakes. Both men have something technically to lose here. I think it's what I said earlier. I think this match will go on for a little bit. It might get a little murky of a scenario here. Maybe Priest asked the Judgment Day to stay back, but maybe Liv Morgan comes out to try to help Priest win. And then that's where things get a little confusing with her coming out. Maybe Dom comes out to get her to leave. And then when he's trying to do that, maybe Finn and JD slide in through the back of the ring and attack Rollins or something. All this chaos as it's happening. Maybe the referee gets bumped down or something. And then Drew McIntyre comes out because he wants to cash in. And I think Drew McIntyre tries to cash in. The match becomes a triple threat. He hits Seth at some point, maybe with a Claymore. CM Punk comes out because Drew looks like he's about to win, and Punk attacks Drew, costs him, gets him out of the match pretty much, and then that's left with Priest to hit South of Heaven on Seth Rollins to win the World Heavyweight Championship and regain it. I think that's kind of what we got going on here. Either way, I think it's going to be a very eventful and good pay-per-view. I think this is going to be a great pay-per-view, or PLE, whatever you want to call it. I won't be making, I'm going to be with family for the next couple of days. Obviously, as you can see, it is 4th of July. If you celebrate it, happy 4th of July to you. But I'm going to be with some family. I know SmackDown will be happening. If nothing crazy happens on SmackDown, I might hold off on making a recap video on that because we pretty much were there. We're at the finish line here. We're at the PLE. But I will be making a review video after the PLE, so make sure you are back here on the channel for that. I hope you all have a great 4th of July if you celebrate it. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope most of you have a long weekend here. I know I took Friday off because I'm like, yo, I got Thursday, Friday, and the weekend. Sign me up for that. So, yeah, I hope you all have a great weekend. We will be back. We will be back for either a SmackDown video if something huge happens, and definitely back for the PLE Money in the Bank. I hope to see you back here. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Happy 4th if you celebrate. And until next time, until we yeet again, my friends, stay bitter.